Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Thriving Adoptees podcast. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Sharon Butler-Obazee. Looking forward to our conversations. Really looking forward to it today, Sharon.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. So, Sharon is an adoptee, and she is also, adopted person.
Yes,
That's what it says on your Zoom account. There, adopted. She's an adopted person. She's you're a mum and you're a coach as well, right?
yes,
You're
yes.
a coach. Are there any other things that you use to kind of
Well,
to sum up what you're
I,
about?
I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I'm a sister, a brother. All those. I can't be brother. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm a sister. I have brothers and
Yeah.
sisters. But anyway, I uh, I am in reunion, and yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only thing I can think of at the
So, yeah.
moment.
Yeah. So, what comes to mind when you hear the name of the podcast? When you hear the name Thriving Adoptees, what comes to mind, Sharon?
Thriving adoptees. It sounds like people who have overcome challenges in their life and are now capable of functioning at a level of comfort.
So, when you say comfort, you mean kind of emotional comfort, or
Yeah, emotional comfort. M- Maybe they're also they could have be economically comfortable.
yeah,
They could have physical means around them that they bask in where they bask in comfort. But I just in a general sense of feeling comfortable in themselves.
yeah. When we've talked about when we've talked in the past, you said something like I was angry with everybody. I was angry with everything. You said something
Yeah.
like that. What did That's how you felt growing up, kind of?
I felt angry because I felt like I was misplaced in some way, like I was in an alternative universe.
Yeah.
So I wasn't happy about that. Although
Clearly,
if
no. Who would be?
I
Who would
know,
be?
yeah. Although if you spoke with me or engaged with me or had a conversation with me, you wouldn't know it. I was
No.
very good at hiding it.
So
So it was mostly living in my core, and I didn't express it
yeah,
externally.
the, the reason that I jumped in with the anger, the anger stuff is because we talked about economic and emotional comfort, right? And I thought that that was a lovely juxtaposition, like kind of put those two things together. Um, what when did you get did you always feel that you were in this alternative reality, or was there a moment when you became aware of it, or
Well, I think I have to go back and think about who I was at the time and what my experiences were kind of at the time. Because I saw and engaged with people who were that didn't look like me
yeah,
because I was raised in a community that was not diverse. The only diversity was our house and the house next door.
yeah,
And other than that, there were no other people or children even that looked the same. So what happened is that we were bullied and people were mean, calling us all kinds of names and everything else. And then when I go home and tell my mom, it was like, well, we have to think above that. You have to, it's going to happen. There's really like, she's powerless, in other words, kind of thing. And so that's a hard thing to grasp as a child when, you know, you're in a situation where you're powerless and even your parents don't have a control, so wasn't a very, that kind of ignited the flame initially. And then there was a part where, because I was misplaced in this alternative universe, my identity was not my own. I was told that we were Scottish. And that's how, because my maiden name was a Scottish name. So, and that we, you know, no one understood how a black person could be Scottish in the first place and how that name came about. But, through slavery, slave masters
Yeah,
named their children and their people, and you went by the name of the slave owner. And so that's how that came about. But it was kind of hard to go in school and they sit down and say, well, we want you to do your family tree. Well, what family tree? I don't have a family tree. I don't even belong here. I'm misplaced here. I'm not happy about that. And now you want me to do a family tree and talk about my Scottish background and have everybody laugh at me. That was hard, you
yeah.
know?
So it was coming at you from all angles, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
All these different signs, all this evidence
Yeah.
coming at you.
Everything was coming at me from different directions, and I'm only a kid. I think that at the time too, I was the oldest of everyone, and I wasn't very happy about the fact that all this responsibility was placed on my shoulders.
Yeah,
And if something went wrong, it was my fault.
yeah.
So
Not your mum's or your dad's.
no, it was my fault because I
Your
should
fault.
have done such and such or whatever.
Yeah. I was before you said the phrase about it all being on your shoulders. That's exactly what I was thinking. The
Really?
metaphor that was coming to mind, right? So you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders, and you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders, and you've got the weight of this injustice
Right.
on your shoulders, and you've got the weight of your sibling because you're the elder. You're the eldest. You are the eldest of
Yeah.
five, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
am.
So you've got those four on your shoulders
Hmm.
too.
Yeah, every time, well, we want this and whatever. Why doesn't mommy say that? We'd have our own little conversations about what we thought was right
Yeah.
or how it should go. And of course, I had to be the presenter of the alternative
Yeah.
idea that everybody, was
Yeah.
agreeing to. And
So
then when it
did
was
you
rejected, it was they were upset with me because I should have. Oh, I was,
were
it's
you
not
trying
easy.
to explain the this false reality to them?
I tried. Yeah. Well, we'd have general conversations about, how we felt, especially my sister, who was 1 year younger than me. We'd have deep conversations about it.
Yeah.
There was an age difference in the other one, so I
Yeah.
didn't put that burden them with that.
No, no, no. And were you to what extent were your feelings and thoughts similar to to this sister that was just a year
Oh
younger?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very much so. When uh when my mother passed, my adoptive parent passed, we sort of got through the grief of losing a parent. It's never easy, regardless of what you think your life was like, to lose a parent. And we grieved for a year and we would talk to each other 2 or 3 times a day just to get through that. So, and we shared so many similar feelings about things.
Yeah. Was there any consolation in the fact that you both were living in this alternative reality? At least there were two of you.
Yeah, well, we had a partner in crime, so to speak. You
Okay.
know,
Yeah. 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 And how old were you when your adoptive mum died, Sharon?
I was an adult. She lived to be 89. So, she was born in 1912. She lived to be 89.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there a point that the world the world started to feel a little lighter? No.
No. No, I think there was the expectations that my parents had of, who we were going to be and how we were going to turn out. And I sort of busted that bubble when I got pregnant at 18. Okay, that kills the whole thing. Our whole design, our plan is ruined now because you are now with child. And so guess what? Get out of our house. And so that only multiplied the
Yeah.
stress level and the um, rejection that I felt overall, as most adoptees do. You feel rejected in the first place because your biological parent decided not to keep you. And then, you go through these little small uh, awarenesses of, what the world is really like, and you get rejected over and over and over again. And then the ultimate rejection was, okay, it's time for you to move now. I'm 18. I have nowhere to go. I'm going like, where am I going? And I'm pregnant too. Oh my gosh. Wasn't
Yeah.
easy.
Really disorientating. Yeah. So what did you do?
I I had no choice but to move in with the father of the child, of my oldest child. Um, and then we got married. And so, I thought at least that can gloss over the mistake I made. And uh, it was not a successful marriage
No.
because, we're children. And I ended up with three children before it was all said and done. And no time to focus on self at all. It's just survival. How am I going to survive with these kids and what can I do? And my so-called husband was not very supportive at all. And so I just kind of squashed my feelings, forget about everything else. You just got to make it through to the next step. You got to make sure your kids don't die, you don't die, and you have food in your mouth, you have a roof over your head, you can get from one place to A to B, and you can function in some capacity. Because luckily, I think for me, my parents, my adopted parents were both functioning people. They would categorize themselves as middle class. I was a private adoption, so I didn't come from foster care or anything like that. But so I had examples of what it looked like, what it should feel like and be like for a person to engage with society and create some norms around themselves, to at least have a barrier between, the worst possible scenario and, something better.
Yeah.
My phone is going crazy.
So that but this is quite a while ago now, right? I'm not going to ask
Yeah,
a lady her age, but something along the way there must have been some lift somehow. Did you take a lot of strength, like see your own resilience off the back of what what you did to survive, to feed yourself and your kids? Did that grow your self stuff power at all, or I mean, what?
I think that I was resilient through the whole thing, but I didn't understand that. I just understood that things were hard and I was trying to make sure everything got done. If A wasn't accessible, go to B, you know, and if B wasn't accessible, go to C, and hopefully
Yeah,
we don't have to go any lower than that. So,
yeah,
I would just survive.
persistence, but
Yeah, it wasn't like
persistence,
exactly.
and there's not a lot you can say really about persistences other than just do it.
That's exactly
You just do it. All right, how do I become resilient?
right.
How do I become persistent? Well, you just do it. Just,
Yes.
like some people might call it stubborn, or some people might call it in the UK bloody minded, right? You just we just stubborn. We
Yeah.
just stick with it. Well, how do I do it? Well, I just stuck with it.
Yeah.
But but podcasters and people having conversations about empowerment, they want to know how. How do you become persistent? Well, yeah, exactly. It's nuts, though, isn't it? You just do it. You have to do it. You've got no, there's no other option. It's
Exactly.
uh, persist or leave the planet, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So the goal is to stay above ground. And so, and all the people that I'm carrying, stay above ground and, function in some capacity. There's rules and regulations that you have to meet. And if you don't do that, you're going to end up in a situation
Yeah,
that's not so lovely. So,
yeah.
and
So
so I've been called tenacious. I've been called all those things.
tenacious, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I stuck my feelings. It didn't matter how
We
I
didn't have
felt
time, did
about
you?
it. Who has time for feelings? Exactly. Exactly. But and somehow I knew that this was not sustainable. I couldn't go on like this forever. And through relationships I had and experiences I had, there was a little tiny crack in the facade that was beginning to interfere with who I was and how I might function. And it was showing up in a way that I wasn't even aware of, you know. Um, I guess it's something like when they say that the individuals who go along and then have a break, you know, in their being and somehow need now more assistance. I didn't have that happen to me, but I did have a time when I was so frustrated. I felt like there are no resources, no allies, no one to support me. You know, I was just here on my own making things happen. And, because of what I wanted to accomplish, and keep my kids safe, I kept them safe, but then at what cost to me? So it was frustrating. And I went through some bad times when you know, I almost came close to taking my own life because, it was just I can't do this anymore. And so I then decided I better get some therapy or help and something because and they when that incident where I tried to take my life, of course, you end up in the hospital and they say, okay, what's going on? So they refer you anyway. So I got a referral to someone who I began to talk to about the things I had experienced in life. I mean, my situation was so severe. I think my mother could have found me and tried to look for me in some way because I was upset. Obviously, I'm really mad now, and people know I'm mad. After I was kicked out of the house, but she never tried to find me. Even she, didn't reach out. I went for a 5-year period when I didn't speak to her at all. And then I decided I would reach out because I just needed help. I couldn't do this on alone. So I reached out with some uh, support and therapy and everything. So um, it did help to begin our relationship. And again, and my father, actually, who was the kindest, sweetest man you ever want to meet, he was sort of like gave me a vision of what a man should be. You know, he was he was supportive, he was kind. He was my mother used to say when we went to the adoption agency and your dad saw you, he wanted you. He picked you up, and that's why we selected you because your dad wanted you. And then quite maybe questioned in my mind, well, but didn't you want me? What- My dad is the only one who wanted me. You didn't say anything,
Yeah,
but I was very close with my father, even through all this. But my mother ruled the roost, and whatever she said,
yeah.
go. Yeah. So
So she
anyway,
overrode him on the uh, kick Sharon out
yeah, yeah.
idea decision.
He wasn't at home. That's why he was at work. when I left.
So, how old were you when you had this?
When I had what?
When you had the when you had the spell in hospital after the suicide attempt?
Oh, okay. I was by then 24,
Right.
you know.
And did was there a bounce after the therapy? And
Yeah, there was a bounce after the therapy. I started to become more aware. One of the things that my therapist said to me that was really striking um, is that you were raised by strangers. And I had never thought of that before. It never come to my mind that, okay, so these people that raised me, no wonder they didn't know me. No wonder they didn't understand me. No wonder they couldn't, understand when I needed to be loved or hugged or kissed or encouraged. They were strangers. They, how do you act? How do I act when I see a stranger? You have to get acquainted and try and get to know the person,
yeah.
but seemed like there was a shield or something
Well, it,
between my ability to interact with them and them to
yeah.
with me.
Well, it's a different reality.
Yeah,
It was an alternative reality, and the alternative reality was driven by the fact that you were raised by strangers, and yet your your dad wanted you.
say it again.
Your dad wanted you,
Yes, yes, he did. He
but
did.
with this
The
dynamic,
dynamic in their
yeah,
house, where my mother
that,
overshadowed everything that he thought, and he
yeah,
was kind and loving and caring, and he didn't have that attitude towards,
yeah,
anger or, he wasn't power oriented or anything like that. So, and he was always trying to make his wife happy. Okay, dear, we'll do whatever, kind of thing.
yeah.
So anyway,
One of the things that I think about quite a lot is the extent to which how we feel, we as adoptees, right? How we feel is down to um, shit parenting versus relinquishment, right? I don't normally swear on the show, but I just can't.
oh,
Like,
geez,
do you know what I mean? Like it's like I didn't realize kind of how lucky I got with my
oh yeah,
parents.
oh yeah,
Because I didn't have any comparison. Do you see what I mean? But now after interviewing so many people for the podcast and talking to so many adoptees, I have a comparison. So I can see the difference. And that's what leads me to see this dynamic, for want of a better word, the fact that we're just one human being. We're one human being. We're one adopted human being. We're one
mhm,
adopted person with a certain amount of, let's call it, use your word, right? Emotional
yeah,
comfort or emotional well-being.
right.
So there's only one of us, but and there's obviously lots of different factors in how we are, how we relate to the world, how at one with the world we are, or but it strikes me that the way that we're parented and the way that we were relinquished can kind of combine. Am I making any sense here?
That there's an unconscious impact on who you become because of those two factors.
Yeah. Let me try and put it into a perhaps a simplistic view that it'll just help
Mhm,
us talk about it, right?
right.
So this is my view, right? so the view is that a lot of us, or my view, I'm putting out the potential. Sorry, I'm suggesting that uh, uh, that what we put down to relinquishment can actually be a result of poor parenting.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I didn't find that out until after I came to understand what the story was behind my relinquishment. And my mother made choices that influenced her to give me up. But she also had very poor parenting. I mean, her parents were so hostile to her because they wanted a boy, they wanted a fairer skinned person, and they were dark skinned. I don't know how they thought that was going to happen. And so they
Bleach,
were cruel.
bleach,
They were, huh?
bleach.
Bleach? It's okay. A lot of bleach. Should I drink it or just
I
wear
don't
it?
know. Uh, yeah, I have a strange sense of humor.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, so they were cruel to her and they didn't treat her well, and so she was pregnant with me when she was 19. And so, and the beat goes on.
Yeah, it does. So, uh, so you've reached you reached rock bottom, and then there's a bounce. We're starting to see some upward dynamic here.
Right, right, right,
This really impactful statement from the
right. Oh,
therapist that
yeah.
you raised by strangers, and some grace for them, grace for your adoptive parents on the back of that. It
Yeah,
sounded
I
like to
think,
me.
yeah, some grace for them. I think when she said that, it kind of awakened me to, you know, well, if I was a stranger to them and they couldn't support me and love me the way that, I felt I should be. Maybe they did love me, but I couldn't experience it the way that I should have maybe. And so,
Hold a minute. The people that love their kids don't kick them out at 18.
okay,
That's right.
point one.
Sorry.
All right, it's a good point. But I just came to the realization that if I was going to excel at anything, I already had the ability, the backbone. I felt, to become something better. But if I didn't love myself, I didn't care for myself, I didn't help myself, if I didn't, do all the things I needed to do for myself, nobody was going to do it for me.
Yeah.
So that was the turn.
The turning. The turn was all about autonomy.
Yes.
Yeah. And that got you to the next stage.
That got me through the next stage. It did. It helped me um to begin to build the internal support and sustain myself in a way that I, could now express myself better and care for my children better, and
Yeah.
everything kind of like came together. And then I in the process I got married again, and turned into the first steps to become the person I am today.
Yeah. And that second marriage, that's the guy that you're married to still now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the
Yeah.
one we spoke of
The one we've
earlier.
spoken with their Nigerian
Mhm.
heritage. Yeah. So, was there a point that when you realized you couldn't do it all on your own, or when you felt you let your guard down to let somebody else in? Presumably, you felt some
Yeah,
vulnerability, or
it's interesting you say that. Let my guard down to let somebody else in, because then my guard was high up.
yes.
I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
I I intentionally didn't divorce my first husband for 9 years, thinking I'm never getting married again, ever. And so when I met, my current husband, um, over 40 years ago now,
Yeah. What's he
um,
called, your husband? What's his first name?
Fred,
Fred.
Fred, when I met him, and we started, interacting together. Actually, my children met him first. And so that was sort of like the approval I needed to even begin to speak to someone else, and welcome him into my home and so forth. Um, that was a turning point. I knew that he was so supportive and caring and helpful, and he had ways that reminded me of my father. But I just had to remember not to make my mother's
Y-
mistakes.
Yeah. Oops.
But
Nice catch. Nice catch, Sharon. We're not going down that route.
no, I'm not. I'm not. And I don't think he would let me anyway. So, but
No. Okay.
uh yeah, he's been so supportive and helpful, and he helped me to recognize my ability as a person, and all that tenacity, all that resilience, all that, it helped me to move forward and actually, you know, um become successful at everything I did. It turned, I felt good about myself. I was moving forward, and I was doing the things I needed to do to sustain myself, my family, and my marriage. You know, and then to realize that, you know, I am capable. I'm worthy of, just common things that everybody probably thinks of as a child that I thought I was unworthy of initially.
Worthy full
So
stop, really.
yeah. So you know, it led me to an awakening. And then when my parents died, um, I finally felt like I could figure out where it came from. And then that's when I
What was
went
the
to
awakening? What?
the awakening was, after being in support groups and everything and listening to a lot of people's stories about their adoption and their reunions, and realizing, hey, I could figure out who my parents are too. I have a human right to know, even though I saw my birth certificate once, but I knew that it wasn't necessarily an option. Um, to see that, I could at least figure out, where I came from. And so that's what I started to do, was approach the process to begin to see, from where I came and what were the circumstances. And the thing that I realized after understanding that is that even though, I felt the relinquishment, how kids are. Oh, well, my mother has a halo on her head, and she would have been wonderful to me, and I wouldn't be in any of the circumstances I'm in now if my mother had raised me. Well, it would have been worse. I found it would have been. I don't know who I would be now if I thought I had it bad enough with my adoptive parents. It would have been way worse. So I'm I'm here, and I learned, you know, the circumstances of my arrival to this world, and the choices she made, and why I ended up being who I am, or where I was placed, um, and what surrounded that. And the problem, I think, for her, she kept me a secret, so nobody knew about me. So anyway,
Yeah.
I had to go through all that stuff, and then
Yeah.
I found my father, who was still alive. What an amazing thing, and to understand who he was and everything. It's just a whole long story
Yeah.
that I know we don't have time to get into now, but
So that realization that you'd been better off with even with this, uh, let's put it politely, strange adoptive mum.
Hmm.
You would still be better off with her than you would have been with your biological mother.
Yeah. Right.
So
My
what was that? What was that like? Was that spontaneous gratitude? What was that
it
about? How did that
it took
impact you?
it yeah, it wasn't spontaneous. It took me a while because, I didn't know all the truth at first. And it's always like steps. A
Yeah.
little would be revealed and a little more, then a little more until I finally had the whole picture of what happened and how my siblings were raised, because she
Yeah.
had five other children, no, six. Six other two passed already, and there's four alive, so six children besides me. So I'm her seventh, and I was relinquished. I was the only one that was relinquished.
Yeah. You mentioned
I
that
had an
last
older
time.
brother. She kept him, and he died from a drug overdose. Then it was me, and I was
Yeah.
relinquished. And then the other ones, I'll just say, if someone were to give them a test to understand what their A score might be, it'd be a 10 or a 12. It was not
Really
good,
tough. Really tough.
really tough.
Really tough. So that was, did that change? I mean, how would you express? I talked about spontaneous gratitude, and you said no, it was actually in stages. How was that? Did that lead you to a kind of, how would you express it? It's like a change in, would you call that was a change in your mindset, or it was an
Right.
insight, or how would you describe it?
It gave me new appreciation for,
Appreciation. Yeah.
yeah, for who my mom, my adoptive parent was, and what she had to go through, and her miscarriages and everything that she had to go
Yeah.
through to come to the decision to adopt,
Yeah.
and new understanding for, even my mother who relinquished me, what she faced, as I mentioned, how she
Yeah.
was not raised properly.
Yeah.
And, you know, it helped me to see from a trispective point of view, who they were, what they encountered, sit in their chair for a minute and understand what they encountered. As I looked at myself and saw who I became, and at least of nothing else, I can say that I've had a good life and I have four beautiful children, and life is good.
Yeah. That feels the right place to bring it in, Sharon.
Very good.
Maybe
All
we
right.
can do a part two
Oh, yeah.
sometime
Whenever
next
you
year.
like, just let me know. We can
Yeah.
talk more about my reunion.
Yeah. Thank you, listeners, and thank you, Sharon. There will be a part two, right? I'm going to hold her to that, just in
Okay. That
case
sounds
you.
perfect.
You're a
Sounds
star.
perfect. Thank you so
Thanks.
much, Simon. I appreciate
Thank-
you, and I enjoyed our time together
Yeah,
today.
I appreciate you too. Just hang on, just one sec.